Today's speaker that is presenting this afternoon or this morning, I don't know what part of the world you're in. This guy has 40 years. You hear me? 40 years. He is a health evangelist. And after his name, he has DDMHHEBHHN Well, you might as well have every letter, sir, because this can't on bad. He is a servant leader, okay? And I love when he says he's a health evangelist. Listen, guys, when I get this gentleman on a three-way with persons, in the end, you know what he does? He prays with us. Like, who does that? Like, this gentleman is amazing. He was able to deliver his kids, so you know his wife loves him. You understand? Because that is a feat in itself. But this gentleman is a natural path medical doctor, and he's been doing it for 40 years. But he can tell you about himself better than I can. And to me, he's like my adopted father, because I just love this dude. So without further ado, I want to present to some and introduce to others. Dr. Franco Taylor, have you made it to the call?
All right. Can you hear me, Dr. Ruth Ann?
Yes, I can. You can take the camera a little bit away because I can see your eye.
Oh, I'm all up on you.
There you go.
All right. It's a plumb pleasing pleasure to be here with you folks this morning. I know you're calling from all over the globe, and it's just a pleasure for me. Being a country boy, I'll just say it is a plumb pleasing pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity. And Dr. Ruth Ann, I know that you've been getting lots of calls. People have been calling you and asking you about various illnesses and what the products can possibly do for them. In a little bit, I'll just get started, talk a little bit, but then a little bit, if you could just ask me some of the questions that they've been calling you and asking you about, then I'll just try to, just answer those, just talk to those towards those particular subjects. We want to talk about the things that really interest people the most, as opposed to just talking off the top of the head. There's a lot of information, especially about these wonderful products. But I'm going to say a couple of things about the products to help people understand why I'm so excited. Again, I'm Dr. Franco Taylor, and I'm out of Memphis, Tennessee, and I'm what's called a naturopathic doctor. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've worked with 11 to 12,000 people with everything from needing to lose weight or gain weight, high blood pressure, diabetes, even cancer and full-blown AIDS. And, I really, I'm going to start this call a little differently. At this present time, I actually have a family with me that I'm working with. One of the family members, I worked with her son several years ago, and she wasn't expecting this, but I'm going to ask her to just take a minute or two to just talk about working with Right Stuff Health, which is us, and what happened with her son. Just in a quick, not a long thing, just a little quickie. If she could kind of just do that. This is Mr. Wanda Goins, and I'm going to ask her if she would just talk a little bit. She's giggling and kind of blushing, but she's a strong talker. But this was real, and worked with her son Justin 9 years ago, I think it was.
Absolutely.
Could you just tell a little bit?
Yes, good morning. My name is Shawanda Goins, and Dr. Franco worked with us in 2011. My son had a brain tumor on his brain stem, and it was benign, thank the Lord for that, but he still had some issues. There was a spot that was left behind that the doctors kept watching, thinking that it was gonna grow. So when I met with Dr. Franco, he gave us this solution and this daily regimen that I thought was so hard that we would never get through, but we made it through. It was very hard. But each day as we did it, it became easier and easier. And Justin was truly healed from working with Dr. Franco with the body broom, the colon broom, the herbal solution, the vitamin A, E, C, the juicing, the plant-based food that he had daily. It truly helped. And I'm grateful. That's why I brought my sister back here to meet with Dr. Franco. She has some adrenal issues going, and I just know and believe that whatever he has for her, it is going to work along with the Lord.
Now, let me ask you one more thing. Now, did you have a sampling of the Sankey products?
Yes, I had a sample, and it worked. I want more. So I am looking forward to ordering the Balage, the Crenew, if I'm saying that
You're
correct,
saying it right.
and the Intuit.
Inner 7.
Yeah, Inner 7.
No, you're right.
So yeah, so I cannot wait to get my hands on it. I'm gonna do it for 30 days straight so that I can, you know, be a testimony.
Benefits, right?
Yeah, and get the full benefits and tell others about it.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Sankey Partners and new guests on the line for listening to that. But there's nothing like testimonies because this is real. And this product, as I'm saying,
Hey,
we all
Dr.
know
Franco,
this.
you can take the camera back a little so we could actually see you, not your mouth. There we go.
And you, for you all that don't know, I have a lot of children in Sankey. I think I'm one of the oldest people in Sankey. And Dr. Ruth Ann has become one of my daughters, all right? And she's promised me a stand with a light on it that's going to hold my phone so I don't have to hold my phone. Is that right? Okay.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
That's correct. All right. But the bottom line is these products took 40 years in research, development, and formulation. And each of the 4 products is just 4, not a whole long list of cookie cutter products. These 4 patented formulas literally each have their own patent that works with the body to help the body heal itself. They have what is called the nanotechnology behind them, which simply says that they've been rendered into such small particles that they go straight through the blood-brain barrier and straight through the cell walls at the microcellular level, so they begin to cause the body to heal itself. In other words, when you go to the bottom and the inner workings of the cells are flushed out, first of all, you got to clean out first. They do that immediately, and then they cause the blood to do what? Circulate. Leviticus 17:11 tells us that the life of the flesh is in the blood. These products help the body to circulate at the microcellular level. And once that happens, the body begins to burn fats and sugars and free radicals and poisons and toxins, and it rushes the bacteria and the viruses and so forth out of the body. The body begins to circulate, and it does what God designed for it to do. It starts healing itself. And that, folks, is a powerful, powerful tool that you now have in your repertoire when you go to talk to people. You don't have to talk about your noni juice came from the highest heel of the Himalayan mountains, or it came from the deep sea. No, you don't have to do all that. You've got products that actually work because they help the body heal themselves. So now, if we could talk a little bit about maybe some questions that were asked. I will say that we have the Belage, which has Orozide enzyme. Well, it was Orozide enzyme 3. After 40 years, they've even taken it to the next level. It's now Orozide enzyme 5. So what am I saying? I'm saying they've never stopped. After 40 years, they're still increasing and improving the products. So now we're at Orozide enzyme 4, Orozide enzyme 5, and literally this product goes into the system, it flushes the system, and it takes antioxidants straight into the cells, straight into the brain, so the body can begin to do what it was designed to do. The Crenew, we know that it has auxilia night reset. By thermogenesis, it burns poisons, it burns toxins, it burns the poisons and toxins, and it fuels the body to actually burn up the fats and the sugars and the starch products at night while you're asleep. It's actually burning them up. Then there's the inner 7. The inner 7 is simply the minerals that the body needs. The body needs minerals. We're made from the minerals of the ground. And so we need minerals on a constant basis going into our bodies, and it has to be the kind that the body can use. These minerals have been taken from over 320 meters deep down in the ocean. You're talking 3.5 football fields deep, folks, with the living anemone and sea urchins and the living plants with all these minerals, especially magnesium, which is that's the mineral that the body uses the most of. So you'll find this in the inner 7. Inner 7 is a patented formula. The 7 simply means that it helps the body to do what? To achieve a normal basis or homeostasis or a pH of 7. That's why it's inner 7. And then we do have the Hasaki, which is our meal replacement with over 596 metabolites that literally come from the black bean and the cacao that has been fermented. Remember, fermentation is what your stomach does to the foods that go into it. They ferment and become metabolites that feed and fuel the entire body. Those are our 4 products. But what I want to do now is, Dr. Ruth Ann, if you're there, if you could just give me a couple of the questions, and then we'll do our best to give some answers as to what, how, why, when with the Sankey products, as far as those concerns are.
Okay, so we had, like I said, a few questions. Somebody was asking regarding a thyroid issue, like how can we assist? How does it assist? What would they be needing to take if we're able to do that?
Okay. Well, again, the entire product line, especially the 3, the Hasaki, of course, is for meal replacement, but the other 3 basically are doing 3 separate things with the system. They're helping the system to flush. They're helping to put antioxidants in. They're helping with burning. They're helping with burning up the fats and burning up the sugars, okay, removing them to keep them from going in. They have a anti-glycemic effect, which helps to keep all the excess sugar out of the bloodstream. And then they're putting the minerals in. So those 3 would work with any system, because you don't just go and target one part of the body as the medical system has done for so many years. You target the body, but all the parts of the body are just as important as the other. You come to a door, well, your eyes help you get to the door, but your hands have to open the door, your feet have to take you there. So bottom line, you need all the parts of your body. And it's the same thing when we're talking here. You need to heal all the body at the same time, because God's body knows what to do. It will heal itself if you give it what it needs. What does it need? It needs nourishment. It needs hydration. It needs water. It needs oxygen. You've got to give it. And most people don't breathe right. They're dumped all over, and they're taking these little shallow inspirations of air, so they're not getting enough oxygen. You need oxygen. Number 1 thing in the world. God breathed into man's nostrils a Coca-Cola, and he became a living soul. No, I'm just teasing you. He breathed into man's nostrils the breath of life. So oxygen is important. So that's one of the things that you need. And drinking more water. Water is what? H2O. All of these products are taken in what? Water. So therefore, you literally get more water and get more hydration as you go. So again, when we talk about thyroid, the thyroid basically is a hormone secreting organ that has to do with weight gain, weight loss. It has to do with a lot of other processes in the body. But when the thyroid is not being fed right, it's not getting enough nutrition. And one of those things that it needs is called iodine. And with the inner 7, guess what? That's one of the top minerals in the inner 7 is iodine. So you're feeding the thyroid. And if not, I'll just throw this out there. You can go get some kelp. Okay, kelp is just a seaweed, and there are other seaweeds too. But kelp contains the highest content of iodine of any mineral there is. So you would get that kelp, take it, and it'll give you iodine. But in lieu of that, you've got the inner 7, our product that has the iodine, has the minerals that we need, all 60 of them, in just the right proportions and in a nanotechnology, so they can go straight to the thyroid and begin to work and help the thyroid to balance.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Then we had a question regarding endometriosis.
Say it again. Endometriosis?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, for those who understand, again, I delivered 8 of my 9 children at home. Well, I actually helped with the first 3 and delivered the last 4 at home. But the bottom line, I had my hands on all of them. I'll put it that way. I was the first eyes to see them and the first hands to touch them. So that was the whole deal. But the bottom line, endometriosis is a thing that happens when a woman's having a cycle. Of course, the lining comes out, and that she calls it blood. But you got to stop seeing that as bleeding. You got to see that as cleansing. That's how God cleanses the woman every month. That's her purging, cleansing process, and it's a good thing. And but when the body is damaged, when it's not working like it's supposed to, when the gene expression is off, then the cells begin to detach themselves and go to other parts of the body, attach there, and start bleeding and growths and all this kind of to do. But that's only because the body is not doing what it's supposed to do. In a lot of cases, the bowels are not moving. food is stagnating and it's being reabsorbed into the system. It's just doo-doo, y'all. I'm just gonna say it like it is, and it's going back into the system. And when that happens, then the body is damaged to the point where it can't function. The DNA can't function like it's supposed to, and when that happens, you have tissues growing in the body, because these abnormal tissues have to do what? They grow by eating something abnormal. What is the abnormal? It's all the waste that's staying in the body. The bowels are there full. They're pushing up against the ovaries, pushing up against the fallopian tubes. So the woman's body becomes inundated with all these poisonous, toxic, morbid, putrid materials. And so it begins to become deformed. And then you get these materials in the body. So what's got to happen again? We cleanse the body. And the balage starts it off in the morning by flushing the cells straight through the cell walls, all the way to the mitochondria. It flushes the cells. And as it flushes at the microcellular level, that happens all the way back up through the body. So the whole body gets flushed. So you're cleansing out these hormone secreting organs, especially one like the thyroid. And then you're feeding it with the minerals that it needs, with the inner seven. So what I'm saying is our products are designed to flush and cleanse, and then redo or restore or refurbish and repair the body by giving it the things that it needs. So yes, even thyroid would be helped tremendously. I'm sorry, we jumped from thyroid to endometriosis. I'm sorry. Endometriosis would be helped because you're cleansing, strengthening, restoring the cell walls and the lining of the woman's innermost parts. And when that happens, the body restores and the bleeding stops. The tumors and so forth begin to shrink, because you're giving the body what it needs to get rid of these things, and it knows how to do it. And with the patented formulas that we have in the Sankey line, the body actually begins to do just that. It'll remove all the antioxidants, all the viruses, all the tissues that don't belong there will be removed, and the body begins to cleanse and restore itself.
So because another question would be fibroids, but I'm thinking that that's kind of very similar to the endometriosis concept of.
Yes, it is. And again, you got excess tissue in the body for the fibroid. The fibroid actually becomes like a little animal growing on its own, feeding off of the waste. And again, these abnormal tissues or abnormal growths have to thrive on something abnormal. And so when we're full of waste, full of doo-doo, and it's not coming out, the body, that's a breeding ground for bacteria and poison and toxin and all kinds of parasites. They live in that filth. So we've got to remove that filth. And that's one of the main things that the Sankey products do. They cleanse, they regulate bowel movements and urinary tract movements. They do that and cleanse the tissues from the microcellular level to get this waste out. Once all that, you wouldn't you wouldn't wax your floor until you did what? Mopped it first. You don't wax your car until you do what? Clean it first. So the first thing you do to this body is not just start putting all these fabulous and exciting new vitamins and so forth into the body that you find on the websites and so forth. The first thing to do is to cleanse. That's what the Sankey products do. They cleanse first as they bring all the antioxidants and the metabolites and the things into the body that the body needs. And so that's the same thing there for a fibroid. You clean out the garbage, you get rid of all the filth in the body, and you rebuild the immune system, which is what the inner seven helps to do. And when that happens, then the body begins to eat away at tumors. It eats away at fibroids. It eats away at cancers, and they will go away. Just like they grew, they can shrink, but you got to give the body what it needs to make that start to happen. And that's what the Sankey products are designed to do, even for fibroids. Absolutely. My wife, with our second child, had fibroids at about 3 months into the pregnancy, and they were so pronounced that when he would move a leg or an arm, it would push the fibroid up out of her stomach so that it would stand up almost an inch and a half high. By the time my son was born, she didn't have fibroids. And again, she went on a program similar to this. We didn't have the Sankey products then, but she did go on a product on a system whereby we cleansed and put in the antioxidants and the metabolites and the things that she needed so that the body could do what? destroy the fibroids on its own. It was a longer process. It took the whole 7 additional months. But in the case of the products that we have, you get those kind of diagnoses, you jump on them right away, and the body can begin to heal quickly, and these things don't have to continue to grow in the body.
What about fibromyalgia?
Fibromyalgia, basically fibromyalgia and rheumatoid arthritis and sarcoidosis, and lupus, all these are basically autoimmune diseases where the immune system is basically kind of attacking itself. You got inflammation building up in the system. You got lots of pain, and pain is usually because of inflammation or itis. Okay, itis just means inflammation of, and I wish I had I could have had somebody on the phone, but they're long distance. I get them on the phone to tell you about fibromyalgia so bad that her husband couldn't even sit on the side of the bed that she was on because the pain would be so great. And after going to work on products such as these, that went away. And so the same thing has to happen here. Inflammation. We've got a tool, and it's called the micro scanner. And so far since October, I've scanned maybe about 70 or 80 people, and they were all amazed to see their blood and to see what it was doing. But in most cases, each cell of the blood was completely inundated with inflammation and fatty tissue, but definitely inflammation. And upon taking the balage and waiting 20 minutes and then putting the scanner back on the finger, we saw that the inflammation was beginning to be eaten away. It was dissolving. It was disappearing right before their very eyes, because all of the antioxidants in the balage was actually driving the inflammation out of the body. So yes, it will help definitely with something like endometriosis, not endometriosis, but fibromyalgia, because that's what it's all about. It's about inflammation in the cells, and that inflamed or that inflammation, that swelling is what causes the pain, because it pushes against the tissues, pushes against the nerves and the tender parts of the body, and it just causes excruciating pain. But with our products, they can't do anything but help, because they're going to push and remove the endometriosis, not the endometriosis, but the inflammation out of the body. Once the inflammation comes out of the body, the pain goes away, the swelling goes down, and that organ or those organs can go back to their normal way of operating.
Okay, we have another question. What about neurological and muscular disorders and maybe spinal disorders?
Okay. Once again, we're talking the same thing. We're talking itis. We're talking inflammation. And that's what called, but when you're talking about neuro, we got to remember, most people, whether it's ADD, ADHD, anxiety or depression or just whatever, schizophrenia, all these kind of things, we think that the person has something wrong with them, or maybe it was heredity or something of that case. In most cases, guess what's wrong? It's simply malnutrition. Listen to me carefully, malnutrition. That doesn't mean that you don't eat. It means that you're not getting any what? Nutrition. Your brain weighs 3 to 3.5 pounds, and it requires 1/3 of the nutrition that goes into your body. That brain is it does everything for the body. And so it's the watchtower at the airport that's telling all the airplanes where to go. Well, it tells the body and all the hormones, it tells them what to do. But when it's clogged up and stopped up, it can't do that. And it's not getting any nutrition. Why? Because we're not eating nutritive foods. We're eating dead food, cooked food, dead animals. And when you cook vegetables even, they really are not live anymore. We don't drink water, so the body is basically missing what? Nutrients. It's getting plenty of food, but it's not getting nutrients. So if the brain needs 1/3 of the nutrients, and we're not giving anything but dead food, nothing from nothing leaves what? Nothing. So the brain's not getting anything. So yes, we're having depression, we're having anxiety, ADD, ADHD, madness, anger. All this stems in part from the fact that there's no nutrition in the brain. But again, the products, the Sankey products, the Balage, the Inner 7, and the Quinu literally go immediately into the bloodstream, immediately into through the blood-brain barrier, straight into the cell walls, microcellular level, so that they're immediately in there flushing, cleansing, and restoring the body. They're reversing, recovering, and restoring and repairing immediately by taking all these antioxidants and all these metabolites and all these cleansing agents straight into the cells. So absolutely, we get healing there, even from something like that, simply because the products were designed to go in and cause the body to heal itself.
What about if we're looking at someone that has asthma, respiratory disorders, allergies? How would that look? How does that look?
Once again, we've got breathing problems simply because the mucous membranes are full of mucus. Okay, they're loaded with inflammation, and again, that's because the body's not getting rid of the waste. The bowels are not moving like they're supposed to, and in most cases, most people don't have the bowel movements they're supposed to have, and so that causes a burden on the system and the lungs. Trying to remove the lungs work with the kidneys. Okay, if we're not drinking enough water, then the lungs try to help the kidneys with that. And what will happen is we'll start getting a lot of simply because the kidneys are not flushing like they're supposed to. So they go to the lungs for help. And the lungs will have all this inflammation and all this mucus on them, and that causes a problem with breathing. So we get the asthma, we get the allergies, we get the cold, the constant colds, and the inability to breathe. And even congestive heart failure is simply what? Too much congestion on the lungs, which causes the heart not to function like it's supposed to. So again, you've got products like Belage and Inter7 that immediately go in and start driving the mucus, driving the inflammation, hydrating the body. And of course, the person needs to drink more water, but that too will help to clear out the lungs, clear out the breathing passages so that they can get in good inspirations of air and begin to breathe in a normal fashion, and the little periodic situations with asthma and allergies will begin to disappear.
What about migraines? How can we assist with severe migraines and chronic migraines?
Okay, migraine is pretty much similar. Leviticus 17:11 tells us that the life of the flesh is where? In the blood. And so there's no circulation to the brain. And so the brain's not getting enough blood, it's not getting enough oxygen. And remember, water is H2O. Drinking more water puts oxygen straight to the brain, helps to clear up headaches. And circulation is very, very important. And that's what the Sankey products do. They help with circulation at the microcellular level. When this happens, when nourishment makes it through to the brain, coming through our products and their nano technology, which makes them so these millions of particles where they're so small they can go straight to the brain. Well, when this happens and you clear out the brain, clear out the fog, you get the brain to circulate and you get poisons and toxins out, then headaches will go away.
Oh, wow.
We're talking circulation. You know, when you've got products that simply help the body to work, you don't have the physician's desk reference has thousands of so-called remedies and thousands of diseases. There's only 2 diseases. One of them is indigestion. That's, you're bloating and you're burping and you're griping and you're flatulence. That comes from not taking time to chew your food or eating wrong food, too much dead food, not enough live food, which is what we're talking about here. We're putting live things into the body with the Sankey products. But bottom line, all of that sets you up for the next disease, which is simply constipation. All the things that we suffer from are just what? They just come from indigestion. They come from constipation. They're symptoms. So there are only 2 diseases, indigestion and constipation. And the Sankey products help with that. They clear up the indigestion so the body is actually not having to even digest because it's going straight into the system in most cases. And they also help the body to move freely like it's supposed to, which clears up the constipation. When the body begins to flow, the sicknesses will come out of the body because they're flowing. Sickness and disease cannot live in a bloodstream that's flowing like it should be. It's just like a frog. A frog will not lay eggs in running water, only in stagnant water. So the same thing in your body. When your body is stagnant, then you're going to get headaches. When your body is stagnant, your blood pressure is going to rise because the blood's not flowing. You're going to get all these diseases simply because of lack of circulation, lack of digestion, lack of assimilation, and lack of removal of the waste.
Well, I have two more questions. So
Okay.
this is the second to last one would be, what about autism? Some persons were saying, their kids suffer with autism. How can we assist, and what products would we give them?
Okay, now that's a pretty heavy one there when you're talking autism, because even science is saying that they don't know what causes it. Uh, I that's deep. I have children that did not get shots. They didn't get the immunizations and so forth, and they never had any childhood sicknesses or diseases. Okay, and I noticed something, and again, I'm just giving you what I noticed, that all sickness is based on uncleanliness in the body. So if it's a mental situation or a neurological situation, again, it's because they're poisons and toxins. Now, whether these poisons and toxins came from the wrong food, whether they came from injecting something into the person that got into the brain, poisons and toxins that didn't allow it to work the way it's supposed to, I don't know. But it's definitely because of it's filth, it's uncleanliness that's in the system that's keeping the brain from functioning the way it's supposed to, keeps the muscles from the bones. In other words, it's a buildup of poisonous, toxic waste and morbid material in the body that keeps the body from functioning the way it's supposed to. So the brain is not being fed properly. It's not getting enough. There's pressure on it. It could be inflammation. It could have been trauma. But there's something that's keeping the body from circulating in the regions of the head and the brain that brings this about. So again, not putting a finger on anything, just saying that if you're using products like Sankey that are designed to cleanse at the microcellular level, I keep repeating the same thing, that when the body is cleansed and the blood that's going to the brain and the oxygen that's going to the brain and the fluid that's going to the brain is clean and loaded with healing modalities, it's loaded with antioxidants, it's loaded with the things that the body needs, then it's cleansing, taking out waste, and it's putting in what the body needs, and the body has to reach homeostasis, even in the brain. And we've watched children with so-called autistic situations begin to get better, including my child. My child is diagnosed with autism along with multiple disabilities, with being born 4 years early. But the bottom line is, with in the last since October, he is literally calmed all the way out, and the rest of the little things that were happening with his brain have begun to disappear. He's listening better, paying more attention. He's 22 years old, and in just the last 3 months since he's been on the Sankey products, he's mellowed out like he's never mellowed out before. He was doing fairly well. We've been blessed to put things together for him all these 22 years of his existence. But the Belage, you might say, and the Sankey products basically are the icing on the cake. And we've watched his neurological situations begin to diminish since he's been on the products.
Well, our last question before we close out the call. I know in the Caribbean, especially, and I guess it's global, but here, two of our silent killers are hypertension and diabetes.
Okay.
How can we help? Can we help? What do we do?
Okay. Actually, those are really not that difficult. They're really easy. And with the Sankey products, they're just fun to deal with, because you get a chance to see it moving before your very eyes. When you're talking about high blood pressure, basically you're talking about a buildup of cholesterol in the system, and it clogs up the artery and the veins. The walls become inundated with this cholesterol, and as it begins to accumulate, the more it accumulates, the smaller the diameter of the vein or the blood vessel, until it finally closes off. When that happens, then you get a stroke, a heart attack, an aneurysm, whatever. So we're talking about products that cleanse the cholesterol out. The Crenu fire actually, with thermogenesis, burns. What did I say? It burns up the fat, the visceral fat, and the sugars and starches at night while you sleep. So what's happening? You're literally losing weight, but you're doing what? You're burning and removing the cholesterol and the fats from the arteries and veins while you sleep. So your pressure is going down, your sugar level's going down. So we've got products that do that. I mean, that's just outlandish to think that you've got products that are designed to do just that. And the Hasaki helps with anti-glycemic activity because it helps with over 20% more absorption of the proteins. A lot of these proteins, especially when they come from animal, guess what? All that fat is in there. But if it's burned up and if it's dissolved and doesn't make it into the bloodstream, then you don't have that buildup. So that means that the blood pressure goes down, and so does the sugar, because the sugar level is the glycemic activity is being reduced. So these products would help with both high blood pressure and sugar, because they're removing the sugar out of the system, the excess sugar out of the system, and they're removing the excess fat out of the system.
Oh, wow. So I want to say thank you so much, Dr. Franco. And I'm sure everybody, if you haven't learned something today, then I don't know. I really don't know. So thank you so much. So do you have any closing remarks for today?
Oh, no, just that, folks, we pray and we ask for assistance in all these sickness and diseases that are in our bodies. And we'd say, Lord, Lord, please help me. And then God brings along a company like Sankey. I prayed for Sankey for 40 years. I have products, and my products are wonderful products. Some of them are liquids, but they wouldn't work for maybe 40% of the people simply because the people didn't eat right. They weren't digesting their food, so they surely couldn't digest the supplements. A supplement just means in addition to. Supplement means in addition to. In addition to what? A good diet and lifestyle. So if they didn't have a good diet and lifestyle, you can't jump over that with a supplement and eat raunchy food and eat the way you want to, drink all the sodas and all that kind of stuff. And the Budweiser, oh, I didn't mean Budweiser. I know nobody out there is drinking Budweiser. But bottom line, they're putting all these poisons and toxins into the body, and they think that they just take a supplement and it's going to make it work. But it can't. You've got to go to the bottom line. The bottom line is you got to start with the foundation, and that's the cells. The cell is the foundation of the body, the foundation of life. And our products work at the microcellular level. Never before has a company designed products that are going to work at the microcellular level to the point where they help the body heal itself. They don't target any particular part of the body except for helping the body at the microcellular level. The brain, the DNA, the mitochondria itself literally get cleansed and refurbished and fired up so they work again, creating energy in the body and causing the body to do what? Reverse, recover, and restore itself.
So like Dr. Franco said, guys, reverse, recover, restore, and we have products here that work 100% of the time for 100% of the people. So thank you so much, Dr. Franco, and I hope that everybody enjoyed themselves and had their pen and paper and took copious notes. This call is recorded. It takes a while for us to process it. Once it's available, I will be putting it in the WhatsApp group for everybody. So please wait for that. And just to let you know, we have a 12 o'clock call, Lifestyle Connect. So please get your guests on. We are here to serve. And then again, of course, at 9 p.m., we do these Lifestyle Connects every day, 12 noon and 9 p.m. Eastern. So we look forward to serving you. Have a great day, my friends, and enjoy your weekend.